Hello and welcome. In this lesson, we'll be looking at how to read the notes on the grand staff with color lines and spaces with note names on the piano. In this lesson, we'll be looking at the line notes and space notes on the treble clef and the line notes and space notes on the bass clef. And finally, a little trick how to find the G note in the treble clef and the F note in the bass clef really quickly. Don't forget to snag your free 100-day practice challenge and a free chord guide. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss a lesson. So if you're ready, let's get started. Here is a picture of the grand staff. Now, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by all the lines and the shapes and the colors. We're going to go through this step by step, and I guarantee you by the end of this, you will be able to identify all the notes on the staff. But to break it down, we're going to start with the treble clef. And the treble clef generally are the notes that move higher up in range, so towards the right hand section of your keyboard. Now, to make it really simple, we're going to actually start with a landmark note, and that is going to be the note G. So for your reference, there is G on the piano. So G lives on line 2, which you can see here, and that is because the treble clef, this here, sign, it encompasses the second line. So that used to be called the G clef, now we call it the treble clef, which makes complete sense. Now, let's start back with line number 1, and we're going to find the note E. So let's grab this note, and we're going to lay note E on the first line, and there we already have our first note. Now, we've already discovered what our second note is, which is G, so let's find a G, and we're going to put that note G right on line number 2. The next line is B, so the third line, there's the note on the piano, and we're going to plop that right on line 3. Line number 4 is D, and there's the note D. And then finally we have the note F. So let's grab our F and put that on the 5th line. Now you see you already have 5 notes, and you have all of the notes on the line. So E, G, B, D, and F. Now there is one more note that's kind of special, and we're going to get to that at the very end. But for now, I want you to feel really confident of putting the notes on the lines. You're probably thinking, well, there's some spaces. So yes, you are correct, and there are notes that live as well in the spaces. So we're going to move over here to the first space, and that is actually D. So let's grab our D. And we're going to put D right there. And then the note that lives in the next space is F. So we're going to grab our F. We're going to put him right there. And then we have A. A lives in the next space. And then we have C. And you can, for reference, you can see I'm playing the notes on the piano for you. And then finally we have the note E. So let's grab an E. All right, so we're going to come back to middle C, and we're going to address that. But first of all, let's shift over to the bass clef. So the bass clef are notes that are going down, getting lower in sound. So there's middle C, and here is the bass clef. Now, again, for reference, this time we're going to grab an F. And this is what we call the F clef, and you can see these 2 dots surround the F. So this is, again, like a placeholder, just so you can kind of get your bearings to where the other notes live. So we're going to start with the line notes, and I'm going to play a low G, and let's grab a G, and that lives on the first line. Now remember, in music, we count from the bottom line to the top. So we start from the lowest line up to the top. The second note on the line in the bass clef is B, so let's grab a B and put it on line 2. Line 3, we have a D. Let's grab our D. That lives on line 3. Line 4, we have an F. Grab an F. And finally, we have an A, so let's grab our A. Now let's move over to the space notes for the bass clef. So looking here, we have an A. So let's grab an A, and that's the first space in the bass clef, the first space. Then we have a C. Let's go over and grab a C here. And then we have our E. That's where that E lives. Let me pull that C down just a little bit. And then the next space note that we have is a G. So let's grab a G. And then finally, the last space note for the bass clef is a B. Now, as you can see, we filled up all of the line notes and all of the space notes except for one note. Now, this is a really special note because this finally is middle C. Now, middle C lives in between the treble clef and the bass clef. So this is middle C. And just for your reference, I'm going to add one more middle C. It's a line note, but it lives in the middle of the treble clef and the bass clef. So there are all of the notes, the space notes and the line notes for the bass clef and the treble clef. And this is all you need to know in terms of where the notes live on the grand staff. Congratulations, you've completed this lesson. See you in the next lesson.